We're going into a new lunar month. What does that mean for the craziness of this world and what we are about to experience coming up right after this? All right, good afternoon. This is Lucky Links. This is the weekly prediction, but this is actually going to be a monthly prediction because coming up here in a few days on the 23rd, we are moving into the water horse month. And that means changes on a grand scale. So I thought I wrote some stuff out, and I'm probably going to post it as a post on my page too. These are some recommendations from the Tibetan bond gods on how to handle what's coming and what's coming next. So you guys who have been watching these predictions, and if you haven't, I suggest you go back and watch some of the predictions that I've put up so far. We've been dealing with a lot of metal because we're in the year of the metal rat. So, and this month has also been that we're in now the lunar month. We go by lunar months. This lunar month is the metal snake, which means metal on top of metal. Metal on top of metal is not good. It tends to lock things down. And a lot of you who felt like things are immovable, you can't get what you need to get done. People who have been writing me who have been saying, well, they're trying to get unemployment. The whole system seems to be locked down. They can't get what they need. They can't get where they want to go. Things are just sort of locked down. Well, what happens next month is we move from the snake to the horse, and we're moving into the water horse. Now, there's some goods to that, and there's some things that are not so great to it, because it initiates a time of conflict. You see, the water horse, and the rat. The year is the metal rat. The month is the water horse. The two don't get along. So there's going to be a good bit of strife, and there's going to be a good bit of conflict arising in the world in general. So, let me start with what's going on today, just so you can get it. Those of you who are watching it today, what is today? Today is the 18th. The 18th of May. We've got a death day. Today is water and fire. And I think it's appropriate to start with that because I think that's a theme that we're going to start to see in the next month with what's going on when the water horse comes in, bringing the water with him. So today's a day of endings. So those of you who are, some of you may be feeling endings today. It's also a good day for increasing your health and vitality because of the water energy and then the fire energy. The fire lunar energy makes it good for undertaking good acts and religious ceremonies. So it's a good day for those things. So, but that energy of the water and the fire I'm bringing up right now because I think we're going to see some of that happening next month with what's going on with the water horse, and here's why. Those of you who've been watching my predictions, I was talking about how the fact that all of this metal is in here and it's locking everything down, right? Well, whenever there is an element that is out of balance, the opposite element or one of the other elements that actually sort of breaks that up will come in to try to balance things. So the opposite energy is going to come in to try to balance it. And for those of you who've been watching, you know that I've been talking about the fact that fire is trying to come in and balance all this metal because fire is the one that melts metal. But it's been coming up as sort of raging desire, passion, anger, in some cases hate. There's a lot of blazing fire coming in trying to melt all that. Well, now what's happened is because there was so much metal, and you guys heard me say this a couple weeks ago, because all this blazing fire is coming up, what's going to happen is water is going to come in to extinguish that fire now. And here comes the water horse. So what happens to fire when water's dumped on it? Psst, you got it. So a lot of people's desires, a lot of their wishes, a lot of their hopes, a lot of all this stuff that's been building is they're going to feel some happen with it. Now, this is a theme, I think, that's going to be going through the whole year. Actually, it's not, I know that's going to be going through the whole year because we've got all this metal happening in the background with the metal rat, so there's a lot of fire coming in trying to balance it anyway, and then that water keeps coming in on top of it. Then what's going to happen is then the opposite element of the water is going to come in and try to suck up the water, which is earth, so it's a cycle that keeps going, but that's how we can see and how we can predict what's happening. Those of you who have a lot of fire in your charts, are likely to feel kind of low over the next lunar month. So it was about 28 days from the 23rd. You're going to feel you might feel the fire being pulled out of you. Though there is the metal that you guys feed on, the water is actually going to absorb both the metal and the fire, and the water is going to get stronger. Okay, so what's this look like then? Well, like I said, the horse and the rat don't get along well, so it's going to be there's going to be some tension and conflict coming now in this next phase of what's going on here. And I've been very clear about what's going on during this phase. This is what we call in Tibetan Bond purification. It is purifying those things in the world that have stood in the way of why human beings are really here, and it is going to continue to do so until we are actually doing what we are supposed to be doing while we are here. So I've got some advice at the end on how to handle this from the gods, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So the water will be draining that metal slowly, so things may start to move again, but don't get too crazy about it because there's a lot of metal going on, and it's going to take a lot to try to. And there's a push and pull relationship between metal and water. While the water will be trying to drain it, the metal will try to be control of the water. So again, there's going to be more tension here, okay? All that fire I've been talking about is going to be doused, like I said. So what you may be seeing in this month, generally because of the water horse's tendencies, you're going to be seeing people demanding obedience from other people. The need to be acknowledging and relying on your own intelligence is going to come forward. The water horse is a very intelligent individual, and it is going to demand that you exercise intelligence. People working harder than they have been, and there is going to be a need for a great deal of hard work during this month. And a lot of you who have actually had time where you couldn't actually tend to what you needed to may find that you're having to be forced to work harder to try to catch up what the deficiency has been or what has fallen behind. And in some cases, people are actually losing things, and they're having to work harder to try to recoup what they have lost. There is restlessness and a desire for movement and sports. No horse would be complete without a desire to run, wrestle, and move. Drinking will happen on a larger scale. Landlord spirits are the thing this month, so this is very tricky. People are going to see a loss of property having to do with certain kind of spirit. When a certain kind of spirit has been offended, it can cause problems for an individual relating to their property. So people may have property problems, loss of property, difficulty keeping property, fights over their property, difficulties in maintaining their property. There's a lot of stuff that can go on in relation to landlord spirits. This could be from something that either happened in this life or a past life. Now, it's very easy to offend a landlord spirit. What could happen is you could be in a situation where you decide that you're going to build on a ground or dig on a ground or do something on a ground, and that's some being's home, and they set a curse on you, or they do something or send something after you to create problems for you with the land that you've got. It's a mismanagement of a land or a disrespect to a kind of spirit, and this may cause problems for me. So I think what we're going to see is a large ripening of that particular kind of what we call karma, which is habitual pattern, which may mean that habitually people may have come in, gone into a space, grabbed the land, done something with it, and then whoever was ousted. We've seen that in this country. People came into this land, they just took it over. I mean, I'm sure the indigenous people of this country can tell you all sorts of ways that the landlord spirits have been insulted, and a whole lot of curses that came with that. So people may be dealing with that right now, dealing with the very kinds of things that actions, attitudes, and carelessness have caused or inflicted on these kinds of spirits, and the spirit is like, forget it, I'm gonna curse you. So there's probably a lot of problems with people with their land, property, things like that. You may find yourself resisting other people who wish to tell you what to do or how you should behave. The water horse is very critical, and you may find yourself either digging onto other people's faults or people digging into your faults as well. Okay, futures will be up and down this month instead of steady. The water horse is is very, the futures are very up and down. So I will be interested in seeing what my investor clients, my clients who are investing in Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, stock market, and you guys who are watching, I'll be very interested to see what you guys have to tell me about the up and down futures of the futures market. So here is the advice that I have for you guys for this time from the Tibetan gods. I have consulted the Tibetan Mo, and double water. Take a bath in it is, as I heard my master just say to a bunch of us, this is a time of purification. This is a time of removing those obstacles. The time that we are in now, for the whole time that this is going to take place, and it is a much longer prediction. This particular purification, much longer than a couple of months, much longer than a year. But this is removing those things that have actually taken people away from what they really are, who they really are, what their real power is. And really this morning, we were having a conversation about how people have given away their ability to take care of themselves and their own bodies, to be able to feed themselves, to be able to care for themselves, to be able to do anything for themselves. Really, we've outsourced everything. And you guys have heard me say this in other videos. It's like we've outsourced our lives and our experiences and relegated them to the television and those beings on the television, and they're the ones that live life for us while we sit like this staring at an empty screen. Now, I want you guys to watch, because this week I'm going to do a video on geomancy, which is the Tibetan Bon. It is the origin of what people do as feng shui, but we use, there are specific shapes, patterns, geometric shapes that have certain properties, and we look into them when we do someone's cosmology and we figure out what's going on. And I'd like to actually talk about what's actually been built in our world in a geometric way. I've referred to this in the past, but I don't think people realize how important it is and why it's causing problems for people now. Okay, and I'm going to do a video on that this week, on how the geometry of our worlds and how our worlds have been built in terms of sacred geometry, and what's causing the problems right now. They're really causing the problems that people are feeling right now in terms of limitation, and I can't move, and which way do I go, and uncertainty. And then I would like to do another video, actually, and I'm putting this in here just so I remember. There's another video about, there are things that maybe you were born to do that this world actually hasn't made possible. And I want you to watch out for those things to emerge during this time. But I'm going to talk about that in another video this week. So and feel free to put your questions in the thing below, and I'll do my best to answer them. So rely on your friends and wealth during this time. So take a bath in purification and enjoy what's being pulled away that's keeping human beings from being who they really are, and the things and systems and relationships that we have set up that have hobbled us and that we have accepted. Rely on your friends and wealth that you really have. That's some of the advice for the gods, from the gods right now. Rely on the friends and the wealth that you really have. As things pay attention, ask yourself this: what skills, talents, abilities, what treasures are emerging that I'm relying on now, that I'm enjoying now, that I'm experiencing now, that I appreciate now, that I couldn't before, the way the world was structured. And again, that's a video that I really like to talk about this week. I mean, what actually, how has the world been structured in a way that prevents people from doing really what they're good at, or what their real treasure is, or prevents them expressing that real treasure? And as this stuff continues right now, the advice from the gods is to pay attention to and notice what treasures are emerging, that the world and what we called normal, what we used to call normal, what treasures have you locked away because of what we said was normal? And any one of you who has paid any attention in your life can surely see how many times in your life, if not in someone else's life, that you had a real treasure and someone said, well, you can't make money doing that. And then the answer was lock it away. Never pay attention to it, which I think is absurd. I think it's caused more damage. And those people that have inflicted that on other people, wow, that's special. Let me just say that. Be careful about your drinking water, and that you are getting enough water this month. And with that, I'm going to add watch your kidneys, and watch the fear, and watch how you let your fear and anxiety break down your kidneys. It will cause problems. Focus on clearing away those things in your life that have kept you from being whom you really are. That is the main message from the gods and the main advice to them. How can you focus on clearing away those things in your life that have kept you from really being who you are? If you do this right, you'll start to see some really powerful things emerging in your life, and then you'll start to notice some other things as the other things that I talked about play about what's really valuable, what people have done, what we have done, and what kind of world have we set up that has prevented us from being truly happy, truly powerful, truly content, and reaching those higher levels on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I've been meaning to do a video on this, but I'm just going to say, for those of you who know Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you haven't noticed it, the world that we've set up has really kept people on the bottom rungs of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. People aren't really being allowed to actualize. Why is that? That's the question I think I'm going to lead you with. And what things are emerging right now that are true treasures, and what things are keeping you from being whom you really are. I am Lucky Links. That's the craziness coming now for the next lunar month, the month of the war horse. The water horse is the war horse. Be aware, he is the war horse. If you would like to get a crystal mirror done by me, I was going to do a crystal mirror this week, but to be honest, I am so swamped with clients right now and doing crystal mirrors for people and doing charts for people, Tibetan Bond astrology charts for people, and people's cosmology. People are getting the whole cosmology package done now too. I had to do it this way, and so but if you guys would like to get your crystal mirror done, that's where I build a chart of your life. I don't have one right here. It's a map of your life, and it shows what the magic squares are involved. It shows what's going on elementally, and there's all sorts of different, so many layers to it. I work for a couple of hours on the chart, on the mirror, before you and I even talk on the phone, and then when we talk on the phone or by video, we talk about what needs to happen. And then what happens is I can take specific bond processes and use them to shove things into the crystal mirror to cause changes in your life. If you'd like to get that done, contact me, 779-302-8009 or conjurehope@gmail.com. If you'd like to get a reading from me, your chart done. If you'd like to take a class with me on how to read tarot cards, playing cards, Mexican Loteria cards, crystal ball, or Lenormand cards, I think that's all of them. Contact me, 779-302-8009, conjurehope@gmail.com. And that's it. Enjoy the war horse. Be careful, and keep your head, and remember to use your intelligence.